We're learning Hilchos Megillah Perek Beis Halacha Yud Gimel. Shnei Yom Ha'elu. These 2 days, which are the 14th and the 15th, we go down to the Peirush. Shnei Yom Ha'elu, which is the 14th and 15th in order, Asurim Behespe V'Tainis L'chol Odom. They're forbidden Behespe and Tainis for every person, L'chol Mokem, anywhere, Bein of Nekrochim, both to the cities that are walled, Shein Oisim Yutesvo Bilvad, that they do it on the 15th, the Bnei Ayoris to the cities which are not walled, they do it on the 14th. The Maggid Mishnah cites Megillah. Hey on base. It's brought in Megillah's Tainus. There are days that one may not eulogize, and there are days that you do not make fast days out of them. And the 14th and 15th of Adar, which are called the days of Purim, it's in the Aramaic, you do not eulogize. The Gemara questions. Why does it have to write this in the Megillah's Tainus? Why don't we learn it from Simcha Mishta Yom Tov? Simcha teaches us that it's also behesped. Mishta teaches us that it's also betainus, so you know for sure that those days are forbidden. The Gemara answers, Amar Ova, that it needs to come and tell us that somebody who is of the 14th, meaning he makes Purim on the 14th, is forbidden to fast on the 15th, and vice versa. Somebody who's in a walled city and keeps Purim on the 15th is forbidden to fast on the 14th. Agos Maimonides cites this from Sochem 68b. Ma'abreda Avina was sitting a whole year, and he would fast except for certain days, Shavuos and Yom Kippur and Yom Purim. In Rosh Hashanah Yutes on base it says that even though the Chachamim ultimately nullified all of these prescriptions for certain days of the year, which we no longer have because it was nullified, but for Purim and Chanukah it remains that you do not eulogize and you do not fast. But all the other days that are mentioned, the rule is that you can eulogize and you can fast. Maggid Mishnah states you should know that Chanukah and Purim, he mentions it in Chanukah, themselves are forbidden with hesped and tainus, but before them, because we find in Megillah's Tainus that it says there that before and after is also forbidden, and the question is, did it remain for before and after Hanukkah and before and after Purim or not? And when they said in Rosh Hashanah in 19b that if Hanukkah and Purim, all the laws remain in effect, that's only the days of Hanukkah and Purim themselves, but regarding the days preceding it, there is no forbiddenness, and therefore we fast on the 13th, which is Tainus Esther. The Agos Maimonides states that Rabbeinu Shmuel ben Tronoi writes that Chanukah and Purim, before them and after them, it's mutter. Chanukah is for Pesumim Nissa, and Purim is written in Ksuvim. Therefore, those days themselves, we don't need to add to them. People know it's Chanukah and Purim, therefore the day before is not a preparation, and therefore you can fast before it. And therefore, the minig of Yisrael is to fast on Tainus Esther, which is before Purim. But that's not a proof, because Tainus Esther is an obligatory Tainus, and that's not those that were mentioned in the Megillah's Tainus, which is talking about specific other days when things happen to Klal Yisrael, and we find it even by the Go'onim, and it's a minig of all Yisrael. But we're talking about, for example, where a place is having terrible things happen and they want to make a tainus, or there's no rain, they want to make a tainus, you can't do it. It's forbidden. The Torah cites from Megillah's Tainus, that the 14th and 15th, you cannot eulogize, and you cannot edict that there should be a fast, even though there's no longer a Megillah's Tainus, because in Chanukah Purim it remains, and therefore, according to the Torah, before and after is forbidden, because Megillah's Tainus was not nullified regarding Purim and Chanukah. As we find in Masechta Tainus, where it says, wherever you shall not eulogize, before and after it's forbidden, even so, you fast on the 13th, which is before the 14th, and there's no difference between them. And since the other days, the main day was nullified, therefore, before and after you could also do have eulogies and fasting days. But Chanukah and Purim, the main day was not forbidden. Therefore, before them and after them, that is mutter because that is part of Milas Tainus and not because of Chanukah and Purim. Beis Yosef cites some Hilchos Avelus of somebody who's more the laws dealing with a person who's mourning, that one can eulogize before Hanukkah and Purim and afterwards, meaning the day before and the day afterwards. And the Rosh says that the statement that we just quoted, that in Megillah's Tainus, Hanukkah and Purim remains in effect, but he says the same logic, that since we're only talking about the actual Hanukkah and Purim, not the extra days added on by Megillah's Tainus. He brings from the Ran in the name of the Baal HaMeir that one can fast on the 14th and the 13th. We'll turn the page of Odo, because Purim is the Takonos of Nevi'im. Nevi'im are like Divrei Torah, like Shabbos and Yontif, which do not need chizuk. He cites further. There are those who say that since Megillah's Tainus was bottled, it's proof that the Chachamim wanted to make it easier and nullify, and therefore, even though Chanukah and Purim, we shouldn't be more stringent before and after. We can go like Shmuel. It was matter before and after the Chag, like I'm showing Gamliel's opinion. But the Rosh writes, like the Baal HaMeir, that before and after might be forbidden. The Pri Chodesh points out that's as far as all the world is concerned, that to read it on the 14th. And that's the Purim. Therefore, it's forbidden to eulogize before and after, because, and on the 13th, which is Divrei Kabbalah, otherwise, you can fast on it, but otherwise, it's also before it. But those walled cities, that were walled from the days of Yeshua, that the 14th would be also Be'ez V'Tainis because of the day before. And according to the Baal HaMeir, that you can't fast on the days that are before Chag. Therefore, if Yud Gimel, which is Tainus Esther, for the people of Yerushalayim, they should be forbidden to fast because it is a day which is before the Chag of Purim. But in actuality, we permit in Yud Gimel to fast. The Shulchan Aruch paskins that Chanukah and Purim, one can fast before and afterwards, and we actually fast on the 13th of Adar, Tainus Esther. The Rambam continues, and these 2 days, which are 14th and 15th, are for also Be'ez V'Tainis, B'Adar Rishon and B'Adar Sheni. The rule applies not only for Adar Sheni when we read the Megillah, but even Adar Rishon when we don't read the Megillah. The Maggid Mishnah cites the Mishnah in Megillah 6b. There's no difference between Adar Rishon to the second one, only reading the Megillah, which would mean everything else applies to it. The Gemara adds that eulogies and fasting on either Adar Rishon or Adar Sheni on the 14th or 15th is forbidden. And the Rif makes this, codifies the Halacha thus. In the Rambam, it says this is true for the 15th, even though the Gemara only mentions the 14th, because that's the usual date when people keep Purim. The Agos Maimonides brings to the Gemara that we learned, Shimon Gamliel says, mitzvahs, that all the mitzvahs that are in Adar Sheni do not apply to Adar Rishon, except for the fact that you can't eulogize and you can't fast even in Adar Rishon on the 14th and 15th. Rabbi Achia b'Shem Rav and Rabbi Simon b'Shem Rabbi Yeshua say that Rabbi Chanina and Tzipori said that implemented that on the 14th and 15th of Adar Aleph you cannot eulogize or fast. And he adds that the way you write the date in the star, you write Adar Rishon by the first one, and by Adar Sheni you write Adar Sheni. Rabbi Yehuda says by Adar Sheni you write Tov, the letter Tov, which is a hint to the word, the second one. That's enough. And in other words, Adar alone is the first, and Adar Tov is the second one. And in Yerushalmi, they're not sure about this. Hilchos Megillah adds Sefer Mitzvahs, the Rambam Paskins, the Sefer Mitzvahs Paskins like the Rambam. And the Maram writes that every halacha shows that we're talking about that they read the Megillah Ba'odah Aleph, and then if they decide to change the year and add a month afterwards, they would have to read it again in Odah Beis. In Perek Aleph Halacha Yud Beis, we actually learned about it, that if they read the Megillah in the first Odah, and afterwards they wanted to add a month to the year, make it a longer year, then we read it again, Odah Sheni in its time. The Torah states, like the Hilchos Megillah, that we're talking about where they read it in the first Torah, and afterwards they decided and they added a month to the year. That you have to read it again in the second one. But still, since they read the Megillah in the 14th, and therefore, because they could do that, the forbiddenness of eulogy and hesped, of eulogy and fasting remains. But if they didn't read it in Odah Aleph, then it would seem you could have hesped and eulogy, according to the Torah. And he brings to Sefer HaMitzvahs that it remains also on the 14th and 15th even of Odah Aleph, even though they didn't read the Megillah. And so the Rambam would seem to infer, and so writes Rabbeinu Peretz. And now he goes on to another point that one should add to make sure they have a meal on the 14th of Odah Aleph, even though they don't read the Megillah. But on the 15th, you don't have to. Even the Rosh writes that and the halacha is that on the 14th and 15th of Odah Aleph you can eulogize and you can fast. Only, and we'll change the page, if they read it in the Megillah and then they decided to add the year, then it's forbidden because you read the Megillah. And if you read the Megillah, it's forbidden. We're going down to the Shulchan Aruch in 697. He codifies the halacha. On the 14th and 15th of Odah Rishon, we don't say Tachnun, we don't say Yan Hashem, Mizmor L'Dovid, Yan Hashem Yom Tzorah, between Ashrei and Avolotzion, and you don't eulogize, you don't fast, but other things that do not apply. And there are those who say that even eulogizing and fasting is permitted. The Ramah writes that the minig is like the first opinion, that it's forbidden to eulogize and to fast. And there are those who say that you even have to have a Suda on the 14th of the first Odah. The Mishnah Berurah cites, but even the 15th, even in places like Yerushalayim where they have a wall, you do not have to add a Suda. The Ramah adds that you don't make Mishnah V'Simcha, but still you should eat a little bit more to fulfill the obligation of those who are more stringent. And is a posuk, v'toiv leiv mishat atomet, that a good heart is somebody who's always involved in being happy in meals, etc., etc. The Mishnah Berurah cites from Nagos Tashbats that one has to add a meal. Rabbi Hanana Yechiel in Paris used to invite many people on the first Odah and the 14th. That's why the Ramah ends that it's good to show the glory of the miracle that was done in these times. Anshi Kvorim, the Rambam continues, people who live in a small village that who read on before Yudala because they didn't have a minyan on Yudala, so they went to where people gathered together on either Yudala or Yud Beis, are permitted in Hesped and Tainus, are permitted to eulogize and to fast, Yom Chiyoso, even though they're reading the Megillah, because it's not the 14th and it's not the 15th. But the 14th and 15th, they remain the official days of Purim, even though it was read before that date. And even though that these people will not be reading the Megillah. And Magen Mishnah cites the Mishnah and the Gemara in Megillah Hay.